Yo, what is up? It's your boys Fomo here, Garrett and Morgan. We're doing a breakdown of our hit single, Mercy, today for you guys. We're going to be going through group by group, track by track, to show you guys the magic sauce behind the curtains.
Yes, sir. And if you guys want to download the project file, the racks, and the presets, we'll be giving them away in the description. And,
giving it all to you guys. So yeah, a lot of useful racks and stuff that we'll go through, stuff that we use pretty much on like every channel in terms of some of our like custom racks that we've made, that we'll break down. And then we also have this template that we use to just set up every track. So that'll be included in the file as well.
Yeah, and if you guys want to see other tracks, just drop a comment with what you want to see us break down, and subscribe to the channel.
Yeah. So yeah, we plan on doing a few of these, or a few of these a month probably.
Yeah.
We'll do as many tracks as you guys like. If you have any special requests, even from like some like the edits and shit we've done like on our SoundCloud, just let us know, and we're happy to break down anything for you guys. And maybe we'll even get into some unreleased shit at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know,
dude.
Yeah, but as our new tracks come out, we'll try to keep this up to date with breaking those down as well. We're just gonna reveal all our secrets to you guys.
Let's get it. All right, so we're just gonna go group by group here, just show you guys how everything works. So on our group channel, we just have a channel strip, which is pretty much just everything that's useful for arrangement. So we got low cut, washout, just everything that you would need for arrangement type stuff.
Yeah, mostly just anything you'd automate super frequently, just so that we don't have to go in and fucking adjust every little parameter. We have these like dialed in, just to help with like buildups and breaking down and transitioning and stuff like that. So it's super useful for transitional effects and stuff like that. We have a reverb thrower on there, so you can do some throws, give it some space, and then a little OTT that we rarely use on this rack necessarily, but it's nice to like glue shit together once in a while. And there's a gain and a mute meter on there, so you guys can click through that and then check it out. But it's all set up and ready to go for you guys in the project.
For the kick, we actually made this one in Kick 2, which we'll do a separate video about probably. But yeah, we just bounced it out and put it in here. So yeah,
we took a lot of third-party plugins off of the project so that people who don't have everything that we use are able to still see the majority of the functions or majority of the process. The only things I think we kept in there are going to be Valhalla Room, Serum, and
like Serum Effects or LFO tool.
Yeah. If you don't have those, I would recommend just buying those. They're probably like the cheapest plugins around. I think they're like $100 for Valhalla Room, and what's LFO tool, like $49?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so we'll show you guys as we get deeper into it, but just letting you know.
Yeah, so kick pretty simple right here. Clap, just Noizu clap sample right here.
Yeah, always at least one or two Noizu samples in our projects, at least are like full-on house bangers.
Yeah, for the processing on this, it's just medium curve saturator, which just adds some harmonics and makes it come out of the mix.
Crunches it up.
Yeah, EQ8 just to take out the lows, and then ducking out some of the mids so it doesn't sound like ass.
Yeah, just getting everything out of the way of the main kick frequencies.
And then Valhalla rack. So this just puts it in like a little bit of a room. And what we have right here is just
a parallel setup.
Yeah, it's just like it's a send, but just on the channel, so we don't have to have a bunch of sends.
Yeah, I know a lot of people would just have like a reverb send. Just for our workflow, we've just always done it this way. So we just always set up like a parallel thing on the specific channel. Just because a lot of times when people do like a reverb send, we like to like adjust the actual parameters of the reverb instead of just having one whole reverb for every channel on the track. So we usually just do it this way.
And the way you would set that up is you just go like this. If you had another copy of Valhalla, you just group it, Command G, and then open up the chain, duplicate it, and then just get rid of the Valhalla on the dry channel.
Dry channel, yep.
Yeah, and then on the wet channel, it's just 100% wet, so you're only affecting the reverb. And then for this one, it's just a super short.
We just got a new computer, so we have to reauthorize everything.
There we go. Yeah, so this one's super short decay, and then mix all the way up. And then afterwards, we just cut out the lows so it sounds better. All right, and then tops right here, we just got, so this is the group, and we just got drum bus, which just adds some beef to them.
Yep.
and then cut out all the lows. Let's listen to this.
Yeah, just a couple top loops. What's that? That's like a Matroda pack hi-hat.
Yeah, it's all about just picking good samples here. It's not anything crazy. So it's just
we're not making our own drums here.
yeah. Well, we do, but
we do, but it's just for this track came together so quick. Like you'll see as we get deeper into it that it's probably one of the simplest tracks we've ever produced. Probably the whole idea came together and I want to legitimately say half an hour.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was maybe another hour or two of mixing, and somehow it's our most played song on Spotify. But
Yeah.
that's just how it works sometimes, you know?
Yeah. So we have an open hat loop here, and just cutting out the lows on all these, shaker loop, and then a crash on the downbeat.
And then we have a little bit of panning on the two top loops, just to give a little stereo width.
Yeah, you want to add some room in there, dude?
Yeah, so you definitely want some width in like the high end. So we usually have like a centered main hat, and then we'll either pan or like throw some reverb on the top loops, whether it's like a tambourine or shaker or whatever, just to give it a little more sparkle in the stereo field, you know?
Mm-hmm. Let's see what else here. We got a ride loop just for the second half of the drop.
I must have like just downloaded the new Noisy kit when we made this, because I was probably just like, I just wanted to try out all his sounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was made fucking year and a half ago.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So
And then
probably Noisy Volume 2 just dropped, and I was like, I'm making this up.
And then right here we got let's see. Yeah, so another just put it in there. Sample, good sample.
Yep.
And then that's just at the end of the phrases.
Yeah, not a lot of like real secrets to our drums. You'll see like there was very minimal processing. It's really just about sample selection and then some EQing just to make sure, because I mean you can make anything fit, you know, with the EQ. So it's a lot of just like subtle EQing and picking good sounds that kind of fit together. Like you don't want a fucking trap snare in the buildup of a house song, you know what I mean? So just making sure you're selecting sounds that match the aesthetic.
Yep. And then for the build up, we just have another snare. Pretty straightforward, just 16th note snare.
Yeah, I think it's got is that just the sidechain?
Yeah.
Doing that?
Oh,
Yeah.
I could go over this too.
Yeah. So this will also be in there for you guys to use and abuse.
Yeah, so we have like two ways to sidechain in our tracks just for ease of use. So a lot of the times we use LFO tool, but we have this other way set up. So the kick goes into the kick sidechain right here. And so it's just the MIDI from the kick sidechain. So whenever there's a kick, it goes to the kick sidechain. And then we drew in the curve we want with Serum. So every time the kick hits, it triggers this shape.
Yeah, it's just like a ghost trigger.
Yeah.
Just a super short little blip. It's just for the volume. It has nothing to do with the sound. The sound doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, so
it's just
we have
like the length.
Mm-hmm. And then
and the girth. What?
Yeah, so some of the groups just have this 2-band sidechain setup. So the way this works is sometimes you want to control like how the lows are sidechained differently from the highs. So what this rack does is it takes the sidechain from the kick, as you can see right there, and then we have 2 bands set up. So there's the lows and the highs, which is controlled by the EQ right here. So every time the sidechain hits, it'll just duck out the highs of the lows, and then we have mapped the dry wet of the sidechain right here, so you could control like how drastic it is.
Yeah, this is super helpful for like vocals and stuff when you don't want them to be like overly sidechained in like the high end. You basically just want any low end information out of the way of like the kick or bass or whatever. Or obviously the kick, it's gonna be drum oriented, but it just helps so you have a little more control if you don't want the entire sound to just like the full volume to duck. You just are able to tinker with a little more and dial it in to your liking.
Yeah.
So it's helpful for like synths and like more like mid-range, high-end synths and like vocals and stuff like that.
Gang. All right, this is the bass group. Gerald's gonna take it over.
Bass gang or don't bang?
Yeah, probably do the sub and then the top and then the group.
Cool. So we pretty much do 75 to 80% of all of our synths in Serum.
Yeah.
Just because that's what like we're most experienced with. We've been using it like since the day it came out. So that's just like what we're most comfortable with. But this is an incredibly simple patch. It's a sine wave with a little bit of tube distortion, because this is just our straight sub. And then we have some processing on the group that'll show you why it's getting that like crunch. And then we have a top high end, more mid rangey layer on top, which is a saw with a little bit of resonance on a low cut filter.
Play that.
Yep. And then we use the tape saturation distortion and the sample hold. I don't even think that's on though. Yeah, no, that's not even on.
Yeah, and if you guys want to take apart this stuff more, you could download it in the description. So we're not going to go.
Yeah, we won't go super in depth because we can do a fucking 5-hour video on sound design.
Yeah.
But yeah, we make a ton of patches, like every week, and Morgan's a wizard with it. But he always maps in all these different macros, so that you can basically out of one sound you could be getting 20 different iterations of it just by messing with the filter and like applying this sample hold and everything. But we can go way more into sound design at a different time. But this is honestly a very simple patch.
Yeah, and then the MIDI is just the melody from the original, right?
Yeah, the baseline MIDI is just the I guess we never even played the fucking song.
No, I'll put it in.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I just fucking I can't remember if I did. I'll just show you guys this real quick, just because it's a quick little tidbit. But I'm pretty sure I did this because you can extract the MIDI from anything. So you can go like this. You consolidate it, and then you can go convert melody to new MIDI track, and then it'll give you the MIDI. It's not always accurate, so I think I had to like by ear just kind of go and like tool with it. But yeah, so I just applied that to the bass line, and then this has a tiny bit of OTT, light saturation, medium curves, like our favorite preset for that. It just adds like some nice mid-range crunch, and then low cut to get out of the way of the sub, and then just super high pass as well, just so it's only sitting right in the like super low mid section, because the vocal is playing throughout the entire drop. So we just wanted this to just fill up like the low mids. And then on the full group, we just have an erosion rack.
You want me to kind of explain that one?
Yeah, you can break this down since you made this.
Yeah, so erosion adds just like noise to a track, but if you just put it on there by itself,
it won't do anything. Right?
No, so if you just put the erosion on a track and don't do anything, it does change the timbre a little bit. So this is an erosion rack, so we could apply it without damaging the original signal. And then we could choose where the noise is in the mix.
Yeah, so this is another like parallel processing thing. So we still have the dry sound, and then we just have the noise portion like EQ'd.
Yeah,
so that we're just getting like a little bit of high-end noise coming through.
Yeah, so the dry is just the whole signal coming from the group.
Yeah, so you notice it loses that super like crispy, kind of distorted sound.
Yeah, and then the noise is right here.
Just like adds a nice little buzz to it, so it helps with like the presence on like. This is super good for getting like your bass to be present on like iPhone speakers or something that doesn't have like a sub.
And then the bass just has a LFO tool that goes. You kind of just have to listen to it with the kick and see how it sounds good. So we'll just after we make like a bass pattern and have our kick down. We'll just listen to it right there. And
just adjust, how quickly the attack comes in and everything.
Yeah. For the drop group, which is also just kind of the synth group, we have a pluck in the second half of the drop. Just to kind of accent the melody, just to kind of change up the sound a little bit in the second breakdown. Yeah, give it a little variation, not anything crazy. It almost sounds exactly like the sound in the original part, so it's just a little layering. And then this is just the original MIDI right here. And let's go over the sound really quick. So with nothing, it's just super ass. But let's see what it's just a excellent preset from some old pack. It might even be like from a trap. I think I picked like a trap pack because the original song is obviously hip hop. But yeah, so this is pretty simple. Again, you could just take these apart if you download them. But yeah, it's just 2 saw waves, and then one's a fifth up. And then distortion just to bring it out in the mix. This sample and hold. The distortion's fully slammed too. Yeah. The sample and hold just adds like crunch to the top end. So if you Oh, we have a macro for this. So if you turn this up, yeah, it just adds like...
It's kind of like putting it through a bit crusher.
Yeah. And then a little reverb and delay on this. And then into the rack, we just have more delay, low cut to cut out the bullshit, 2 overdrives just to bring out the tone. And then kind of just sculpting it again with the EQ.
Yeah, just a lot of times this is kind of like a super helpful thing, at least like when we were relatively new at this. Like a lot of people, when they don't want a ton of high end, they'll just use a high cut. But like this, I think when I like learned to start doing this, it really like changed how everything fit in the mix. Like shelving high end is a lot better than just cutting it completely, because you're going to lose so much of the sound
Presence, yeah.
So yeah, you can cut, it's more of like sculpting than cutting. If it sounds like super piercing in the high end, but you still want it to be present in that same range, you can literally just turn down those frequencies with a shelf. So that's something that like kind of changed a lot of mixing things for us when we learned that.
Yeah, and then we have Valhalla Room, which just kind of drowns it out, so it puts it in the background since we have the vocal going the whole time.
Yeah, it just kind of makes it more of an atmospheric pluck than like a up and front and center.
Yeah. All right, that's it for that one. Then we have the melody track is just sampled from the original.
Yeah, it's literally just like the first fucking 4 bars I just looped.
Yeah. Let's see. So and then we have this saw lead right here. All right, so without the processing, it's pretty much just 2 big ass detuned saws.
Fully detuned, maxed out saws, 1 octave above the other.
Yeah, and then the white noise just to add some presence here, and then the low cut just to cut out some of the harshness of it. So without it.
And for the record, we made this song when this was the sound in Tech House, so probably wouldn't use that anymore. But it's kind of a staple sound in Tech House.
So the tube distortion just distorts the saws together with the noise to bring it all out more. So it adds some buzz to it, and then just a shelf on the mids and highs to bring it out more. High cut, just cutting out the lows, and then just a little bit of reverb on it just to give it space, but it's only on when it's playing. So for the processing on this, we got this AU5 mid-side EQ, which we don't really use.
Mid-side OTT.
Mid-side OTT. So yeah, it's pretty much just separating the mid signal using the utility.
Yeah,
and they both
makes it fully mono.
Yeah, so it's just processing both the mid and the side differently, which is a shit ton of OTT.
Yeah, we don't use this a ton, but sometimes if I'm trying to get a sound larger and it's just not quite there, I will just try to like dig in the archives of all the racks that we have, and because we've just made so many over the years, or ones that we've downloaded, like AU5. Shout out AU5, great producer. But yeah, I just threw this on and it just sounded way better. So it's just a bunch of OTT. I mean, you could literally just throw on 2 OTTs and it would probably get you the same result.
Yeah, and then after that we have Valhalla just with a big tail on it, so it kind of just goes into each section smoothly. And then
just a little EQing.
Yeah, and then the EQ right here actually cuts out the high or the lows of the reverb as it goes on, just so it doesn't sound as muddy. So you'll hear it right here.
Yeah, because it's going, that note's on the start of the next 4 bars, so the bass is coming in again right there. So this just helps clean that up in terms of the reverb. And then just a slight little high cut here, just to get rid of that super noisy stuff that you get when you use like big detuned saws. Kind of just makes everything fit a little tighter.
And then the first drop, we also have this, it's another saw type lead, but it's just playing little like fill sections right here.
Yeah, it's literally just a resampled saw patch. I think it's from like a Moog or something. It's from an Oliver synth pack that I just got off Splice probably. Yeah,
and so then on the sound itself, we have room reverb, which is super short decay.
And don't ask us why we use Valhalla Room on some and reverb on the other, because there's no science behind it. It's not like I like pick and choose. Sometimes I'll just be like, this just needs something quick, and I don't need like a crazy tail or anything. For like some of the like this, I feel like for the most important sounds in the mix, I'll definitely use Valhalla Room. I would probably choose to use Valhalla Room every time if I like thought about it, but sometimes the stock reverb's just quicker. So
Yeah, so we have a reverb, and then, but it's a super short decay, so it's just like in a room. And then the OTT brings that out, as well as some of the frequencies in the sound. And then overdrive, I kind of think the process with this stuff is kind of just like throw shit at the wall and see what works.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at least like with that kind of sound, like if you take the reverb off, like I'll show you. Like it's super short, and because it's a sample, you don't have any control with the release and stuff like that. So I basically just use the reverb to kind of give me the release I was looking for. And then to make it even longer, I threw a OTT after that because it kind of holds the release on the compression is longer. So it holds onto it. And then the reverb also is giving it some nice space. And then, so that was kind of like if I would do this in like Serum. So this would be like some, and then after that, I'm basically distorting what is now the sound now that I've like made the sound, even though I'm using like external plugins.
And then we have this erosion rack again, just to give it some noise.
Yeah, just some nice little presence.
And then right here with the EQ, you're kind of just listening for what sounds good and bringing it out, and what sounds like shit or what you don't need.
Yeah,
and then,
super easy like trick for like why we have these like weird curves that seem like there's no like rhyme or reason behind it, is just kind of like dragging like a kind of wide curve like this. Oh, I can't point at the screen. You kind of just fish through with something like this, nothing too drastic, and just kind of find the money zone. I knew I wanted it to be a little mid heavy. So just bringing out like what the meat of the sound is, and then ducking out a lot of the super tinny high frequencies again.
Mm-hmm. And then for the second drop, we have that same saw lead, but an octave up. Yeah, so pretty much same logic all around here.
I think it's literally the exact same processing and everything.
Yeah.
It's just an octave up.
Oh, yeah. We can kind of talk about the MIDI on this. So, G sharp is just going to be the root note. And then from there, this half step up to the A is kind of like, how do I describe this? The minor second is like what's utilized in a lot of just popular, like Chris, or I mean, pretty much every house song.
Yeah. What's that? What's like the main one where he uses that fucking...
It's in every song.
Yeah, a lot of those super, it almost makes it's like a darker type of melody.
Yeah. It's pretty much like what you would use for trap. It's like just darker type melodies. Like it's not even technically in the minor scale, but just knowing that the minor second up from the root is also a note that works. Like a lot of people can get lost in like using the scale thing, and you'll just never even think that the minor second is going to sound good.
Yeah, because you'd be like, oh, I can only use what's in key. So this is technically out of key. Because actually the track is in D flat minor.
Oh, it's in D flat?
Yeah. We just had this as, I think this is what, the fifth?
Oh, yeah. This is the fifth.
So yeah, if you'll see if it's not even in key. So
yeah, but it sounds good.
Yep.
And then from there, it's just whatever the fuck.
Yeah. It's a higher note.
Yeah. From there, just do what sounds good.
Yeah.
And then, it just all goes to the group. And I don't think there's anything crazy on the group here. Yeah. Just an LFO tool for the kick.
Yeah, and then just to like all of our group, we do like a lot of group processing. But the reason we have this like saturator at the end is because we usually use Pro L pretty much on all of our groups. So the way we have it broken down into like drums and drop group and bass, we have a Pro L on every one of those to make sure like nothing's clipping going into the master. Because we don't really, we'll get down to the master channel in a second, but there's nothing on it because there would be a Pro L on it, but we pretty much like group limit and group master, and basically at that point all you're doing is balancing levels, so everything's processed going into the master, and then you're just controlling clipping at the end.
Yeah, so for all of our groups in like a normal project, it would be Pro L2 just on
at the very end of everyone. Yeah,
but just so you guys could check out this project, we just have it,
we just use the analog clip in the saturator, which is also good for limiting.
All right, so for you want to do effects here?
Sure.
All right.
You guys will have this in the template. We usually already have all three of these set up with automations that you can we just mapped everything to one knob in Serum. So that literally all you have to do, it's just noise, and everything is mapped to this one macro. So it has a filter that automates up when you...
Or play it for him? Or play the end of it.
Yeah, we'll get to the good part. So just got like a little resonance peak here, just to kind of have it increase in tension as it goes up. It's got a little bit of reverb automating. It's just a little distorted. It also, as it goes up, is giving it more space, so it's getting wider. with the dimension expander, and then just a low cut sweeping up as it goes through the buildup. And then that's like the high noise that we use. And then we'll usually have just like a basic saw wave riser as well, just like your standard EDM riser, you know. Very exciting.
Yeah, it's super nice. Pause it real quick. It's nice to have these like made out, because a lot of the times when you use a sample, it like won't be the distance you want, and then if you warp it, it doesn't sound perfect.
Yeah, so I like never warp noise effects, especially because they just sound like complete shit.
Yeah, so these are pretty much just a remake of just all the typical effects that you have, just so you can make them sound good in every song without having to mess with warp modes and
exactly
stuff.
Yeah, so like this is how you would make all those samples that you get on Splice. Like you can just make it yourself, and that way we have complete control of the length and the intensity and everything, so that it sounds fucking perfect every time and it fits perfect every time. And then a lot of times we'll accent, so these will be like our main kind of drivers for the tension building, and then a lot of times we'll add like another layer of like samples and stuff. Didn't really need it here because the buildup's relatively like simple. But then we just have we have two different saws going on. So we usually have like a low and a high one. So you'll see when you combine them, this one's really high, this one's really low, and combine with the noise. So they're all set up exactly the same, to where you literally just have to go in, click this macro to activate the automation, and then I'm gonna reactivate that just for now. But yeah, and then you just drag it up to as much intensity as you like. And it sounds fucking great every time.
Yeah.
And then we just have like a little bit of white noise drop. This is just a sample from Splice, I'm sure. Just right on the fucking drop, just to give you a little impact. Just a little pizzazz for the ears. And then we just have some other like breakdown effects, just kind of transitioning between sections. Yeah, just little stuff to accent, like you wouldn't even really necessarily hear it, but it does do a lot, especially because the high frequency content in like that portion of the song is relatively non-existent. So like when there's no drums, so this just helps kind of trick your ears into feel like the song's progressing. And then other than that, we just have Morgan's beautiful vocals. Yeah, no, obviously we sampled this from here. I think I just used RX8 to extract the vocals. I actually just found this super cool website recently that I've been using for the same thing. It's like an AI track separator. It's called moises.ai. I think it's MOISES. And it's free, and you get like 5 free tracks a month. You can pay to upgrade to like unlimited. But that's what I've been using. It's actually, I found it's even cleaner than using like there's already RX10, but I still have RX8, I'm pretty sure. So I haven't tried out RX10, but it's expensive as fuck. So and this thing's free. So I would definitely recommend if you want to like get into doing like remixes, or just like, you know, it's fun to just write songs with like vocals you like, and you can always take the vocals off. So you're writing to like a cool vocal, and then you can always take them off and have, you know, someone sing their own original verse on there, or, you know, write to it, whatever. But yeah, for this, I mean, the vocals were already in a mastered song, but just to make them fit, we did some more processing on these. Just some light OTT, distorted them a little bit just because they were kind of like not sticking out of the mix the way I wanted. Gave them a little reverb because the RX8 kind of cuts the reverb off of it to make them nice and tight. Little low cut EQ, LFO tool just to pump with the kick. And yeah, that was literally it.
Yeah, and then just some automation tricks with that channel strip at the end.
Yep. So yeah, I'll show you like the automation lane. Just utilizing like the washout in the buildup. So yeah, and then there's just like making it super washed out and cutting it back to dry right before the drop, just to kind of give it this big moment, since this is like obviously the coolest part of the song. And yeah, and then in the second buildup, I literally just added 4 bars. Yeah, just looped it for an extra 4 bars just to give it this like super fun second drop moment. Just because the song is so fucking simple that I really felt like it just needed one other thing. But that's pretty much it. Yeah, like we were saying, this is literally probably the fastest track that's ever come together. Obviously, a huge driving factor in that is that the vocal is like the main part of the song. But yeah, that is relatively our process for almost every song. You know, we're going to be breaking down some more for you guys. But yeah, like I said, on the master, we just have the analog clip for now, but we usually would be using a Pro L2 on there.
We do a lot of our mixing just as we're going, just because we've been doing this forever. So like our ears are trained to know what's like sounding good and not. So we don't have to do a bunch on the master. But
yeah, and I like as I'm producing, I find it so much more like inspiring, and I'm just so much more eager to keep working on it when everything sounds good right away, instead of like praying if the master rack's gonna save your mix, because it fucking is not.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, you shouldn't need your master rack to make your song sound good. So definitely just make it good as you go.
Yeah. So I mean, if this isn't, because there's proof that you don't even need fucking
there's
anything
so many
on your master, that's literally
there's so many people that are like, oh, let me see the master chain, let me see the master chain.
People
it's
are
like, no, you
so
don't.
disappointed.
You don't need any of that to make a song good. You just need to make it sound good as you go.
Yeah,
but
people are always so disappointed to see that we literally will just have a Pro L. For some songs, like a lot of maybe like something with more tracks or something, we'll have like some light glue compression or something, maybe a little bit of saturation. Sometimes some stereo imaging, but it's, I'd say at least 70% of the time just a Pro L, because we do all that other stuff like on the actual groups.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this one. Excited to show you guys more stuff in some other videos, some more complex tracks.
Yeah, this is we have tracks with like 300 tracks in them, but we just figured
we have if we showed you some of our old fucking trap and dubstep projects, you'd vomit. But
yeah, we just figured we'd show you guys like kind of how easy it can be at times.
I mean, just based on like the somehow success of this song, I just thought it would be cool to show you guys how easy it is to make a song that can get 1 million streams on Spotify.
Yeah, and then I think that does it for this one.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely just let us know in the comments what tracks you'd like to see from us next. Otherwise, we'll just keep putting out what we think would be fun ones to do. But yeah, we will check you out in the next edition of breakdowns.
Yeah, and if you guys want the project file, presets and racks and all that stuff in our template, just download it in the bio or in the description.
Yeah, we'll have a link in the description to get you access to that. I think we'll just have you put in your email and we'll send it right to you. And then if you guys have any issues with any like of the projects opening up or anything like that, just because it's the first one we're doing, please let us know. You can DM us on Instagram at fomomusic_. That's probably the best way to get a hold of us in terms of that, or just shoot us an email back.
Yeah, and hit that subscribe, huh?
Yeah, let's build it up.
All right.
Keep this thing going.
Gang, gang.
Later.
See you guys.